We have materials that have been created to help with the symptoms, but we have not cured the common cold. So, when a virus moves into the body, the cell that gets infected creates interferons. Because the cell that got infected knows it's done, okay? There is nothing left for them. They secrete those interferons. The virus that got into the cell, whichever way, it's going to duplicate, okay? The interferons that got produced, they can alert neighboring cells. So that cell that the virus invaded, the interferons that it created, can let the surrounding cells know there's a virus in the vicinity, protect yourself. So the cells will produce their antiviral proteins. Hopefully, if the virus tries to invade them, they try to break it down. They try to do something to destroy the virus. Interferons can also activate natural killer cells if needed, macrophages if needed, so that hopefully they can come in, consume the virus that has tried to invade, kill it with the lysosomes, and in having all of this ability to attack, whether letting the other cells make their proteins or calling in helper cells, the other monocytes, calling them in, hopefully will take care of the virus. In the meantime, you might get sick, all right? For example, the common cold, okay? But eventually, hopefully, you're going to overcome it. The reason, the body simply has to run this process. Now, in some cases where viruses are concerned, they have created some antiviral medications. For example, herpes, okay? Shingles. Yeah, they have created antiviral medications. It does not cure it. It simply lessens the time that it takes for the body to recover. Otherwise, as far as the virus is concerned, we still need to let the body mount the attack. Now, HIV, major concern. I think it's back on the rise too. Major concern because they have developed medications that when people realize, when they are diagnosed as having it, it shortens the time that they're affected. Okay? I don't think that it's a cure. Pretty sure it's not. Okay? I think they're also in the process of developing a vaccine for it. I can't remember. But a virus stays with you. Okay? So even if, like the common cold or whatever, it stays with you for a certain amount of time. Some stay longer. People are like, oh, well, if I get a cold, I'm not going to get sick with that same virus again. Yes, you can. Okay? Mainly because something such as the common cold, you can actually come across that same virus again and get sick again because there's no memory that got created. Okay? And very short-lived. Cancer. A lot of times, viruses cause cancer. As the body mounts the attack, natural killer cells that get called up, those natural killer cells can hopefully come in and destroy cells. The last thing you want with cancer is for it to become malignant. This would be a way that the body is trying to defend itself. Now, there's a lot that's being done now called immunotherapy. You guys heard of that? Okay. I know it's in very early stages, but it's showing a lot of promise. It's a treatment for certain cancers where they're actually stimulating the body to fight it. So there is a lot of, it's a huge field of study. The complement system. These are going to be based on globulins. Do you remember those from anywhere that we may have mentioned before? That is a protein that can be found in the plasma. Little pieces, these proteins that are moving around in the blood. They can contribute to this non-specific immunity, but they also play a part in adaptive immunity. What they're going to do, their mode of action generates some inflammation. What happens when things get inflamed?
It swells and causes pain. It gets red.
Hot, heat. What is one thing that can kill cells, denature proteins, mess up DNA?
Uninhabitable environment is created by heat or cold.
Think all the way back to bio. One of the things that could really mess things up was temperature. Temperature too high, temperature too low, and then pH. These have the ability to affect inflammation, therefore raising the temperature of the area. Immune clearance, coming in and helping with immunity that we have to create. Phagocytosis, the eating, cytolysis, lyse, cyto, cell, causing cells to burst. Now, the pathways, like I said, once again, in your textbook, it's going to get very specific about the complement system. Yes, because it's very important in the body. All right, people that can have immune disorders can have something be going wrong at this point. Okay, so it's going to get very specific. Now, for our purposes, there are two pathways. The classic pathway that complement will take. Remember, with something that's complement, if you initiate the first one, the second, third, and so forth follow. Okay? And that's sort of what the book's going to go through. It's going to go through talking about how if you activate C8, you're going to activate C4, blah, blah. I don't want you to have to worry about all that. Okay? The classical pathway, I need an antibody. Wait a minute. Antibody? That's got to get created. That's got to be made. So that's going to require some stuff to occur in the lymphocytes. That's going to require some stuff to be made from the lymphocytes. If it's an alternative pathway, it simply stays nonspecific, doesn't go against a specific antigen, it just wants to fight something that's trying to invade the body. So we have two pathways. One that'll be the nonspecific pathway, the second, which is going to be classic, meaning I have to create immunity. I have to create an antibody for it. The natural killer cells that I mentioned, one of the things that happens with those cells, they are out there patrolling the body. They're part of those lymphocytes. Now, when a natural killer cell encounters something foreign, bacteria, something like that, okay, something that's foreign, what it does to kill it, if this is my foreign cell and the natural killer cell that's wandering around encounters it, here's what it'll do. It will release a chemical that actually perforates. So they're called perforins. That foreign cell, it'll actually release chemicals that perforate the membrane and then releases granzymes. This is something that will make it through the holes that got created and go in and destroy enzymes of the target cell, i.e. proteins, the product that the foreign cell would produce to go kill more cells. Does that make sense? So these cells that are working with their non-specific, for the most part, all right, you've got to actually be very sick for specificity to show up. Under non-specific, like I keep saying, when these cells come in to work against a pathogen, first thing that usually is going to happen, we get a fever. Because if the body temperature of the organism that has been invaded can rise, the goal is that your environment for that invader is no longer hospitable, and the invader will die. The goal is that the foreign cell dies, but your self cells don't. However, what happens sometimes with fevers? It goes up too high. At what point should you get concerned about fever? Well, now, if you're at home and you take your temperature and it's 104, chances are you're not taking it. Somebody else is, okay? You're hallucinating, and you got a lot of fun stuff that could be happening, you know, but chances are you're in bad shape. Yourself, it's about 102, all right? If you can't get it to come down with like Advil, Motrin, that sort of thing, and it won't come down, get yourself somewhere. Okay, get yourself to the doctor, whatever the case might be. Because if it gets up to that 104, they need to be taking measures to bring it down. Why? You're cooking yourself. Specifically, the brain tissue and proteins of your body. The proteins that the cells can make. If that temperature goes much higher than that, and if they don't start doing something,